Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Basically today, AFL 23 got an update. This is on April 23rd, 2024. If you got the update, check it out because there's a new thing in there with sliders, so you can change the custom difficulty of the game and various aspects of the game to suit how you want it to be. It's really, really cool. I thought I'd do this video to go check it out and explain a few things in it from what I've seen so far. So let's jump on in. Right, so we're at the main menu here, and to where the sliders are, you need to go down to settings and go to custom difficulties. So all the slider settings are in here, and you see a few I've previously set up before. So it's great that you can have a couple of sets of ones. So I've done an easy one for maybe when I play with my kid. Otherwise, if I want to give myself a bit of a challenge, I can test it out with a bit harder sort of settings. So here we go. We'll go in and create a new set. So new difficulty, just change that to, yeah, there we go. Just change the name to what you want. And here we are, all the slider settings. So we'll go through them now. All right, so here we've got the AI modifiers. And if we scroll down, there's a whole bunch of them here. And we see other sections like goal kicking modifiers. So this is for our goal kicking. When we've got the ball, so with ball modifiers. When we don't have the ball, so things like marking, tackling, they can be affected there. Also our settings for Ruckwork Modifiers, and then general modifiers for the gameplay. So these might affect both you as the user control team and the AI team as well. So something like AI sprint speed will affect your user controlled AI teammates and the AI computer that you're playing against. Scrolling down further, we have some umpiring modifiers there in the different sections. Now, these are great to have all these different sections. You can see that down the bottom we got when we change it. So I'll just change this here by jumping 10 with L2, R2, right? But then I might want to just reset one of the values. So I'll press triangle, resets to the original. Maybe I want to reset the category, so I'll just prove this out here, change this. I'll go to just this category and I'll press square and it just resets this category. And let's just change these again. Okay, and then I'll press R3 and we'll see it resets all of them in one big go. So nice and easy to tweak and change. But what we'll do, we'll go into each of these to discuss what each of them do and how it might affect your gameplay. All right, cool. So as we said, up the top, AI modifiers. So this is changing the skills of the AI team that you're playing against, right? At the top of each section, we've got the base difficulty. So we can change this to say, oh, well, currently I'm finding hardest to easy at the moment. So I'll take hardest as the base that I'll take things off, and then I'll tweak each of these to maybe make them just a little bit harder. So making the AI a bit better playing against me. All right, so at first we've got all these set shot timing spray values. So we've got minimums and maximums to basically say what range, when you get it in each of these zones in the accuracy meter of the set shot, what range could it potentially spray off the side of the boot. So when we look at the accuracy meter, we would have an early timing area, which would be before any of the color. Then we've got an okay timing where there's a bit of color. I think it's a white into a light blue sort of color. Then into good timing, which is starting to go from that light blue into a darker blue. And then the perfect area, which is that little slot of dark blue there. And then of course we've got late. So when you miss that perfect area, you've pressed the accuracy a bit late. Here's my understanding of that on the meter. So hopefully that gives better context. So for each of these areas, you can judge how much spray could potentially be done. Now, for the AI, they've got the set shot accuracy for the different ranges as well. So you could say, okay, they're fairly accurate in most, right? Let's put them to around 90s. And even so, they're fairly accurate, but they might get still an okay or good timing. We could bring that back down and say, well, they're even going to spray it less for when they get those poor timing occasions. So we'll just bring that right back down here now. Right, so now we've got lower spray for the AI and better set shot accuracy. So you would expect that they're going to be pretty on target. Then we come down here, we've got on the run accuracy. So again, close range, mid range, and long. I'm just going to up that a bit. And one of the important things is to look over onto the right-hand side here. You get a nice little description of what this means, what this settings means. So here we've got higher values will increase on the run goal kicking accuracy from 40 plus meters, right? Mid-range is 25 to 40 meters and 0 to 25 meters for close. So this gives a good explanation of what you're actually tweaking here. And often it will tell you what does a higher or lower value do to the setting. So good to look at there. All right, so we've increased the accuracy of their kicking for on the run and set shots, and also minimized the spray. So a nice little boost for the AI there to make it even more accurate than before. All right, further down, again, just to do with the AI's skill levels, so their pressure awareness. Here we see the explanation is higher values will increase AI awareness of players around them. So this might be players like getting out the side, running free into open space. It might be at centre bounces where players are moving to and to run with them or block them off. So you can see here on a highest base difficulty, it's right up there. So you might say, look, they're a bit too hot on me. I want that a little bit lower. So maybe hopefully for centre bounces, this might give me a bit of ease and I can sort of break away a bit. Now, we did say we want to make this hard, so let's just put it back up at 100, but you could drop it down if you need. The locate tactic distance. I've done this so far where you switch the AI's tactics to locate and then you switch back to your team. So at least for the moment, they'll start to use this until possibly in the game the AI chooses to change tactics again, which does happen, by the way. If you haven't noticed it, there are dynamic tactics in the game. Teams do start with certain tactics, but then they'll dynamically change throughout the gameplay. But what you can do is temporarily change it to switch over to AI, change the locate tactic, switch it back to your team, and then you can actually see this in effect. Now, here the explanation says higher values will increase the distance that a defender using the locate tactic will give their opponent. Right, so if you want them to sort of play off them and be loose, you could pump this one up. If you want them to be pretty hot on them, and like I said, pretty aware of where they're running to, you could lower this down and say, don't give them much, give them just a little bit of space, but basically when you're doing the locate tactic, you're staying with them as much as possible. Okay, so when we go down further, we've got the goal kicking modifiers. Again, we want to choose the base difficulty to be hardest, and let's go through them. So firstly, we see these sprays happening again, like the set shots earlier with the AI. So early, before the color, okay, is that light, possibly white to light blue. Good is sort of that light blue fading into the darker blue, and then that darker blue section for perfect, as well as afterwards late as well. Now, I said I wanted to make this harder for me, right? So in this case, I've done a fair few set shots where I've stopped it earlier before the perfect area. It's been fine. It's gone in anyway. So I've aimed it relatively well. I've probably landed it in a good to okay timing area, and it's still gone through, right? So what I want to do is make it harder for myself by only pretty much allowing a perfect timing to give me no spray and get it going the direction I want. So we're going to say, let's go okay timing, spray minimum. We're going to pump that up to, let's go 50. Let's go to a 65. Good can be from let's go a 65 up to an 85. And perfect, and maybe even just make it a little bit random as well. So you've just added a little bit of boost to the perfect spray. But you can see here that if I landed in okay or good timing areas, it's going to be a bit more difficult for me to kick because there's likely going to be a lot more spray happening there. Again, late, yep, so spray, we can bring that up, and early, that's not too bad anyway. So we've got quite a bit of spray with our set shots happening there. Right, so that's made it harder for goal kicking with set shots. Now, let's have a look at what we've got for on the run. Now, on the run, goal kicking meter. Here we have a a fairly low value. So we look across to our description, see what it says. Higher values will increase the distance between the goal indicators when taking a shot on the run. So if you want those indicators in the on the run meter to be wider, to give you more of a chance to land the cursor within them, you'd pump this up, right? But obviously we're going harder, so we wanted this lowered down. So I think it was at 8. Let's bring it maybe down to a 5. Cool. So that's made that meter harder. But something that people want to have a bit of a tweak with is how quickly that meter might load up. So with this one, meter fill speed, it says higher values will make the goal kicking meter slower. It'll fill slower. So if we want to give us more time while we're holding it, we can pump this up and give us more time to land it in between the goalpost sticks that are determined up here, the goal indicators. Saying that, usually you're on the run and you've got someone chasing you down and you don't want to have that too quick. So you want to bring that back down so it actually loads fairly quickly. So say we go a 20 for this. Now it's going to make it harder because it's quicker, but it also gives us a little bit of a boost with the gameplay because you're not having to hold it for ages for it to load up, right? So we've got that at 20. Now I do want to jump down to just another thing here. We know that in the last patch we had the fast quick kick for the on the run goal kicking, right? When you hold R1 and do that kick as well. So I'll just come down here, and that is in the gameplay modifiers. We got the fast goal kick meter fill time, right? So again, higher values will increase the time it takes to fill the goal kick power meter when holding the fast modifier, the R1. Now, this already, I think we said it doubles the original one, right? So it takes you a second to hold the meter and release a kick normally. It'll take you half a second to do the same and land it in. But if you want that to be even quicker, you can bring this down again. So it's saying, yeah, increase the fill time. So higher values increase the fill time. Therefore, lower values make it fill quicker, right? So we just bring that down. Let's do that to about 20. And we should have a super fast modifier for the goal kicks. Hopefully that can help people tweak the values to what they find suits them. Again, maybe it's a little bit of the gameplay than difficulty, and you tune that to how you want it to be. But saying that, it might be a bit difficult. You just need to sort of play a few ways with that to see how it goes. Cool. All right, so we've got the fill meter speed, the on-the-run goal kicking meter, and the fast meter down below in the gameplay ones. Hopefully that helps you with your goal kicking modifiers, and then we can start to look at a few more with the gameplay instead. Right, so here we go. We're going to start looking at the modifiers for affecting the general gameplay. We look at the with ball modifiers. So again, we're just going to pump this up to hardest. And you can see those values change as we change the base difficulties. So we're going to put this to hardest, fend success rate. So higher values increase the chance that player will successfully fend off a tackler. So if you're wanting to fend off, you want to see those animations more, you can pump this up. It's likely that those tackles won't be successful. You'll be able to do a fend. All right. We're going to leave that, let's maybe drop that to 30. Tackle break success rate. So I think this one is less so about what you're doing at the time. If you are tackled, then sometimes you see the animation where they shrug it off and get free. I'm not too sure if that's something that you can do with the right stick while you're tackled standing up, right? I haven't really had to play with that. But this is saying, well, how often do you have that option? That you're standing up and you're tackled and you want to be able to break free. Right? So maybe I want to see that more and I'll just pump that up. Yes, I did say we're going for hardest, but just for the sake of wanting to see more of it, we'll put that up for now. Cool. We look at the without ball modifiers. So again, let's pump that to hardest and we can see those values tweak as we change them. So we've got marking. So the perfect marking here. So we've got perfect, good, okay, and poor for marking timing windows. So the description says that higher values will increase the timing window for a perfect mark. Right. Now, when we look at good, it says the same thing for the good window, but it says this is applied after the perfect timing window. And you can see the cascading values just increasing there. right? So if we're finding marking is still a bit too easy, we can probably drop that just a little bit more, right? And make those windows a bit harder to hit than they normally are on the hardest difficulty. I personally struggle with hardest difficulty marking anyway, so I probably wouldn't drop them down too much. But that's where we can actually look at these values as well. These appear to be boost values for each of your actions. So here for mark timing, it's gone down to 45 on the hardest. If you're saying that, okay, yes, I've got these windows okay, and I'm sort of seeing that whether I do a poor, an okay, or a good mark is about where I want them to be, but it's still just a bit too easy overall, we'll just lower the marking ability a bit, right? So it's a bit more likely that a spoil will come over the top. It's also a bit more unlikely for us to get the mark performed, even if we hit that perfect timing window, right? And then again, spoiling timing again. If you want to say, let's increase the chance that spoils will be okay, let's pump that up a bit. So again, it's the chance. It's all about your timing, the skills of the player, things like that. But you can start to tweak these values to find out where that helps you with your marking in the game. And then without ball modifier, the last one is the tackle effectiveness. So again, if you're feeling like you're trying to tackle and you get shrugged too often, you can pump this up. You're saying, I'm not effective enough. If you're finding that, hey, like every time I tackle, it's simple and it's easy, then you can drop it down. So we're just going to lower that down, and hopefully that means that the AI might be able to break tackles away from us a bit more often. Now that'll have to do with like how close we are, how good the tackler, their attributes are, and various other factors. So like the timing of the tackle, the direction of the tackle, things like that. But overall, if you're just bringing down that effectiveness across the board because you're still finding tackling too easy, then great. You've got the option here to make it harder for yourself. Next up, heading down to the Ruckwork Modifiers. So we're going to pump this up to the hardest level again. And you've got the 3 different areas that the ruck contests can occur. So the centre bounces, obviously at the start, ball ups just generally around the ground, and then the boundary throw-ins too. So maybe you're finding boundary throw-ins are simple, but I can't figure out the other ball ups, so you could change the values for this as well. So again, it's a bit tough. Again, if you're coming up against someone like Max Gorn, it's going to be really tough because he's got good attributes that help him and his height, obviously, that help him to win the ruck contest. But if you're still finding it too easy, just pump that down a bit, all around the board. Cool. And lastly, we will check out gameplay modifiers. So as we said before, we've already gone through the fast kick modifier, and this can be tuned to how you feel you want to play the game. It's not so much a difficulty thing. Sometimes these can sort of be difficulty things, but they can just be how you want the game to play in general. If we look here at the sprint speeds for AI and yourself, some people have said the game's too fast. Some people like it that way. Some people want it faster. So if you think it's too fast, you could probably just drop these down, both of them, and then you've got it slower across the board for everyone. The sprint speed is slowed across the board. Now, this top one, sprint speed, is just for the user-controlled player, right? So I'm going to keep this maybe up here, and I should be able to sprint away. But the AI run sprint speed, maybe I want them to be a bit lower. Now, keep in mind, I believe this is still the AI teammates that you have, right? So it doesn't mean that everyone across the field is going to run free away from their opponents all the time, nice and easily. I think this affects any non-user-controlled player at the time. So you can drop that down, or you can speed it up, depending on how you feel you want the game to play. But it is going to take out, affect all the AI players on the field at that time. Looking down at tackle distance, so we talked about the tackle effectiveness. So the tackle distance, it's how close do you need to be that you can start performing an effective tackle. So if you put this right down, right, it means that the distance you need to be to do a tackle is a lot closer. You need to be on the player. Whereas maybe you could start pressing it a few steps behind when you pump this up, and that means that you can actually still tackle that player, maybe hone into them a bit, and then perform that tackle. So again, just one of those things that you want to see. All right, how do we want to go with the tackle distance? Now, maybe there'll be ineffective tackles if you need them to be closer. So maybe you want to do this, the tackle distance down, and that might help you with performing evasive maneuvers. All right. We look down a bit further, so we've got the reaction speed. So again, I believe this is more to do with the AI players. It might be a little bit of, everyone says stuck in the mud, but how slow your players are to react when you're controlling them. I take this more to be the AI players and how quickly they will react to, as we see in the description, react to the changes around them. So the ball suddenly turned over, how quickly do your players realise and move back, right? So maybe we want to say, yes, that could be a bit higher on that level. We already talked about the fast goal kick meter fill time, but the other ones around the game, the general gameplay that you want to affect are the kick meter and handball meter fill time. So higher values will increase the time to fill the kick power. Maybe I say it takes too long to kick them anyway, so I'm just going to lower these down. Right, it takes too long to fill those meters. So now I'm increasing the speed of those meters, and I don't need to hold them as long anymore. Stepping down, the field kick, goal kick, and handball distance. So around the ground, how far can players kick, right? Everyone seems to be able to get about a 50-meter kick in. I want to drop that down, and you can put that so that you need to be a bit closer to goal to be able to make the distance for a goal kick to goal. So field kicks, yep, you know what that is, just generally kicking around the ground. Handballs, how far can they go? And a goal kick distance affects both set shots and on the run goal kicking, right? So yes, you could have something strange where you can have, they can kick a huge distance around the field, but they can't shoot for goal unless they're close, right? If you want to do it, that's fine. Generally, I'd have these about the same. But yeah, so that you can affect that goal kicking distance. One of the interesting things with this goal kicking distance one, when we talk about the set shot meter, if in the power you go into the red, it's going to reduce the size of the accuracy meter at the end, which means, along with those spray values at the top, you can make it enormously hard to kick goals. If you bring this right down, then a kick from about 30 or 40 meters out needs to go into the red in the power meter, shrinks the size of the accuracy meter, and then you have to absolutely get it perfect in that accuracy meter, otherwise it's going to spray because of the huge spray values we set earlier. So some interesting things for people to try out there. Alternatively, you can absolutely pump this one up and have set shots from a long distance, and even see what else you can do with this one, the wind influence. So if you happen to have a wind going your direction and you want to have a huge influence, you can pump that up along with a big kick, and who knows, we might see some 100-meter goals out there by people if we get the right angles and right kicks happening. Yeah, so some interesting values that you can tweak there. I'm just going to leave these as pretty normal and maybe shrink down handball for the modification there. Wind influence, I am going to just bring that down because I did find a huge amount of influence once you pump that up. And it's quite tough sometimes to manage that. When we look at ball spills, we have higher values will increase the difficulty of ball spilling from tackles while kicking. So how often do you get tackled and it spills out? You're either holding the ball or it's play on. Or how often do you find that happens with the AI? Maybe you want that to happen more, and that means less ball ups around the ground. It's more likely to spill out and play will keep moving. So we could pump that one up there. And lastly, we look at umpiring modifiers. Now, the umpiring, I generally think is okay. You never hear people say that in real life, but in the game, it's pretty spot on. But run too far distance, maybe we want to give a bit more leniency there. And the illegal tackles, you don't see much of them, but occasionally you see you're too high or a push in the back. If you just want to see the animations more, like pump that up and play a few games with it and see how that goes. Otherwise, I'm going to do maybe down at 30. So a few more, but not absolutely over the top. And prior opportunity, if you want to give yourself a bit more time when you're being tackled to make those decisions of what you do when you're tackled, you can increase this value. Now on that, I've created another video that is around what your options are when you're tackled, depending on the types of tackles, the attributes of the players, and whether you can get a handball or a kick out or a dribble handball, or you can even do evasive maneuvers. So I'd recommend that you can pump this one up to give yourself the opportunity to try those things, and check that other video to see what your sort of options are in general gameplay. So that's it. Basically, we've done this. We've got our new difficulty. We're going to save it by just going back, and here's that new difficulty listed there. And just for now, we're going to go into play now. You can do this in season and management career as well, but just going to show you where it is in play now. So I'm just going to choose some quick teams. All right. And just before the game starts, we can go into the match settings. And here we've got our match difficulty. So we've got easiest, easy, medium, hard, and hardest as always, but we keep going and we can see the custom difficulties with those slider values in here. So I can set the new difficulty, one that I've just set up, set all your other values for the game, and play. So that's it. Basically, we've got everything together for those sliders. Have a play with them. Let us know in the comments what you like, what you don't like. Jump on the socials, on the Facebook forums, the Big Footy forums, sorry, Big Ant forums, everything. Let people know like what you're liking your settings to be. Hopefully people can find some ones that work for them. People can make it more challenging when they need it, or less challenging if they want it nice and easy. Like I said, for example, when I play with my child, they have a good time, but they hate it when it's too challenging for them. So I'll ease them into it with a nice, easy couple of settings with those sliders. Hopefully people can get a lot out of these. And obviously, if you do have recommendations for things you would like to see, send them to the Big Ant support or post them on the channels. People want to know what else could be tweaked in this game that could make it more enjoyable. Cool. Thanks everyone for watching. Enjoy.